everybody, and thank you for joining us on today's live stream, where we are joined by Stewart Samkange, who is a relationship manager at LinkedIn Talent Solutions, and an absolute guru at rocking your profile. He's one of the few people globally certified to do this. And as I spoke to him a few minutes ago, he certainly has got a wealth of history in talking about the subject. Um, we just want to say welcome to South Africa and Kenya as you join us. In particular, BotLab, who has helped us on the Kenya side today, who we've partnered with. It's a little bit about BotLab. They are a tech firm that offers bespoke training solutions in data science and cybersecurity to leaders, SMEs, and individual cohorts. In addition, they offer data science services on demand to organizations that require it. They're part of the Safaricom Women in Business Cisco Edge Program 2019. They've been awarded the ITU Global SME Award for Social Impact in Hungary. And overall, the firm was awarded Most Outstanding Firm 2019 at East Africa Com. From Turn Left Media side, we are the exclusive partners for LinkedIn in Sub-Saharan Africa from the marketing side, and we work very closely with Stewart and the rest of the LTS team on helping people understand their employer brand on the platform. And the reason why we chose the topic today is it's the most requested topic. We get asked about the subject every single day, every time we're at a client. How do I position my staff? How do I position my thought leaders in the most effective way? And I think with the world as it is today and what's happening around COVID-19, making sure that you have the best profile, the best representation for who you are as a professional is even more important today than it's ever been before. So really happy and humbled to have Stewart with us today. He's coming all the way from Ireland to share these insights. So Stewart, over to you.
Thank you very much, Marius. Good morning, Africa. Good morning, world. How you doing? So good to be on this session with Turn Left Media. Marius, can you see my screen?
I can see your screen, Stewart. Sorry, and this is my fault.
Yeah.
Live always gets you a little bit jittery. If throughout the presentation, if you have any questions, you can either post on LinkedIn using the hashtag #RockYourProfile with your question. I've got it open in front of me, and I'll start calling out questions as they appear. Or you can use the app Slido. So Slido, SLIDO. You can go to the website, and the event code for today is Rock Your Profile. And you can ask questions there. You can upvote those questions, and we'll start shouting them out as we go through as well. But Stuart, to answer your original question, yes, we can see your presentation.
Awesome. I think we've got a short time together. We're going to try and cover quite a lot of detail. I believe this is going to be a recorded session, so I'm going to be super careful about what I say. I'm speaking to you today in the capacity of a member on LinkedIn, not so much as an employee of LinkedIn. I want to speak to you personally, how I've used LinkedIn to journey in my career and how I'm using LinkedIn to continue to grow as a professional. So yes, I work at LinkedIn, and in my daytime job, my core objective is really to make the working world a better place by working with one HR director at a time. So that's what I do in my daytime job. But today I want to talk to you as Stewart, as a fellow African, and talk to you about how you can get linked in to actually bring out your personal career to and link it out to your life goals and aspirations. And I think what we're going to cover as we go through this session is some clever things that I've learned over time. So there are some standard things that we'll cover, but ideally what I want us to look at is using things like rich media to build out our profiles and really make our profiles come to life, hence the word rock your profile. So let's use that media, video, let's use pictures, etc., to engage people. And then I also want to help you start showcasing some of your career accomplishments. Oftentimes, a lot of us are super good at things, but we're not that great at building out our personal brand or telling our story. In fact, I talked to a personal brand expert, and you know what he told me, Marius?
No, what did they say?
He did say, in this era, in this time that we're living in, here's the quote to keep in the back of your mind: ability without visibility is inability. If you don't tell the world what you're good at, if you don't tell the world what areas of the business you'd like to grow into, if you don't showcase the skills that you're acquiring to get into those roles, it's going to be really difficult for you to get access to those opportunities. And really, today's session, as I said, I want to cover how you can now start highlighting some of those accomplishments in a professional manner, in an authentic matter, in an authentic manner. I also want to show you how you highlight your aspirations, and then cover some specific examples of where from your profile you could put certain things, and what sort of language actually helps your profile stand out. So that's what I'm looking to cover. That's who I am, and I'm speaking from a personal capacity. Marius, have we got people online? Can we get going?
Yes, we've got people online. We can start.
And so let's charge right ahead. It's recorded. People can play back the visuals. We haven't missed anything important, but literally I was summarizing this probably best if I quote someone that everyone can relate to. So I'm going to quote Jeff Bezos, who is the founder and the CEO of Amazon. And he says, a brand is what others say about you when you aren't in the room. Let me say it again. A brand is what others say about you when you aren't in the room. And that's what we're trying to do, is build out this profile that speaks on our behalf when we're not in the room. So what is LinkedIn? A lot of people, if we were in a live environment here, I would have taken responses from you in terms of what you think LinkedIn is and how it can also be used. So without doing that, because we haven't got live interaction, because we want to stay home, we want to stay safe, we want to stay healthy. Let me walk you through how I think to answer that question of what LinkedIn is and how we should behave on LinkedIn by sharing this with you. So if you can see my screen, and I want a confirmation here, if you can see my screen here, I've put up a couple of social media platforms. And if I was talking about the concept of eating donuts or donuts, this is how I would communicate about donuts on each one of those platforms, being Facebook, Snapchat, Instagram, Pinterest, and Spotify. I was just talking about how we bring our tone onto LinkedIn and talking about how we present ourselves. Ultimately, what we're looking to do, and I hope the screen has changed. Marius, has it moved on?
Yes, it has, dude.
Okay, excellent. So what we're trying to do then is present the sum total of our personal brand on LinkedIn. You know, show that all the experiences that someone has with me are based on value that you bring and on the promise of what you can bring or the promises that you make. So on LinkedIn, our tone is different. It's more professional, and it tends to attract more credibility because we're using our real faces. We are being associated with people we work with, people we went to school with. So that's why it's got a great trust factor. I'm going to be speeding it up a little bit. The slides are going to be available to you. I'm going to speed it up purely because of the fact that we lost some time regarding connectivity. So please excuse me if I'm talking fast. Marius, maybe we'll jump into the questions as I pause for breaks. Is that okay?
That's perfect.
Okay, so the sum total of your LinkedIn experience, if you're not having a great LinkedIn experience, maybe there's a couple of things that you haven't gone in to configure. LinkedIn, like any other technology, or even if we're to think of the analogy of a car, when you buy a car, you will get into that car, you will adjust the seats, you will adjust the wing mirrors, you will adjust the radio, you will adjust everything to suit your personal comfort. Likewise, on LinkedIn, there's a couple of things that you can tweak that will ensure that when you're going in, the content you're consuming is content related to the area that you're interested in. The content you're consuming is related to the opportunities that you want to go after. The content you're consuming is reaching to people who are also subject matter experts or like-minded professionals like yourself. And if you're a student, The content you're consuming is showing you where those new opportunities are for you to take up internships, for you to follow leaders that are on the platform. So where does it start? It starts ultimately by us building out our personal brands. But before we get into that, let's understand what kind of an environment are we going into. LinkedIn is a global platform. It costs us nothing to be on the platform, but it allows us to connect with other professionals. Currently, we have over 675 million members on the platform. Meditate on that. 675 million. Even a more compelling reason for us to be having this talk we're having today, which is about building out your personal brand and ensuring that you stand out. Because guess what? The platform is growing at 3 members every single second. So we need to tell our story. What can we do on LinkedIn as individual members? Well, there's a couple of things that we can do. One, which is the top of mind for most people, is to go out there and be hired, right? Talking about my personal brand and my personal experience and my skills will get me hired. But there's so much more that you can explore on LinkedIn. It's a platform where you can access learning content, and I'll talk about this a little bit later on. Currently, LinkedIn has given out 16 courses for free that will help you right now learn how to work remotely, learn how to coordinate teams, learn how to be a leader in times of crisis. 16 courses have been made available. Look at my profile, you'll find those. 2 other things why people are on LinkedIn, and this is where the magic is. People on LinkedIn to stay informed with what's happening in their industry. By using hashtags, by searching for certain topics in your industry, you can stay up to date with what's going on. If you're going into a business meeting like I do, I read up on my customers before I go and meet up with them. Or I'll read up on a certain topic like graduate hiring, so that when I present or when I meet, I am sharing thought leadership that is global and that is current. So people get onto LinkedIn to stay informed. Lastly, they go on to connect with like-minded professionals, people that inspire you, people that can coach you, people that can lead you into the next economic opportunity. Marius, am I too close to the microphone? Can people hear me? Are we engaged?
Stewart, if you can just move a little bit closer, it seems like you're very, very soft. So some people can hear you, other people are struggling.
All right. Can you hear me right now?
Yep, I can hear you.
I am not going to move. I'm going to stay still for the rest of this call. So here's another reason why we want to be on LinkedIn, guys, is that ultimately organizations are using this platform to sell, to hire, to market, and to provide learning. So from an organizational perspective, this is why companies are on LinkedIn. And your presence and the information that you present will ultimately lead to actions like people selling to you, people marketing to you, or learning opportunities being available to you. And I think I've missed out one on this slide, is that organizations are partnering up with LinkedIn to drive engagement, to understand what is going on with their employees. As you can imagine, right now in this moment of crisis that we're in, it's important to hear the voice of the internal employees through engagements, through surveys, and we have an engagement part, which I will not cover right now. So let us move on. Let's start talking about your personal brand. I'm trying to catch up on time here. With LinkedIn, ultimately, you want to leave people with a feeling of what you can bring from a personal perspective and a professional perspective, the human behind the skills and the talent and the experience that you have. There's a Maya Angelou quote here, which I think resonates when we're thinking in terms of what are we trying to ultimately do in terms of conveying our personal brand. People will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. How do we start that journey? Well, it starts off with us creating our brand. Ask yourself, what words describe your work? Ask yourself, what 3 words describe the experience you create when you engage with fellow professionals? Be it your colleagues, be it your manager, be it with your external stakeholders. What's the experience that you're providing to those people? Ask them, as you're thinking of building out your own personal brand, if you're stuck with how to tell your story, one way is to engage with the people around you by asking them questions like this. What can you count on me for? If you have a challenge, what do you come to me for? Right? What am I a subject matter expert for? If I understand and it's a consistent one from many people, then that is my personal brand. LinkedIn allows you to showcase your creativity, allows you to showcase and highlight your collaboration skills, but only if you build out that narrative. So your profile summary, folks, is really about telling the story of who you are, what do you do, why does your work matter, what's the impact you're bringing, what's the contribution that you're making. That's what you're doing. It's an elevator pitch where you're telling the world what skills you have and what skin you can bring into the game when given an opportunity to shine. That's what your profile summary is all about. But here's the thing. If you have never worked on your profile, or maybe you created a profile and haven't gone back to edit it, or you've been hesitant to start this journey, I want to rest assure you, there's no such thing as a perfect profile. There's no such thing as a perfect profile. Yes, you can have a complete profile, 5-star ranking. LinkedIn will show you that. But it's a living document. It's your story. And as it is your story, even the way we talk about ourselves on LinkedIn should be coming from a first-person perspective. Authenticity is critical. So the photograph that you put up, the background image that you choose to have on your profile, folks, go and customize that. That's retail space. Ideally, if we're building out our personal brands, we are trying to buy retail space in people's minds. Human beings process images a lot faster than they process text. So if I was live and in front of you right now, my question would be to you, if you're looking at my profile and you're seeing books with no titles, different books, what does that say in your imagination? What are you thinking and associating my brand with? Could it be education, research, academia, knowledge? It's a book without a cover, without a title. So LinkedIn gives us that ability through rich media, through personalization, to tell our story. What we're creating here is the cover to our book of our professional life. This is the book. We're capturing the imagination, we're capturing the eye and the attention of hiring people, partners, stakeholders, recruiters, anybody that we do business with. When they land on this page, the first thing they're going to see is your photograph. So your photo matters. If you never thought about it before or you don't have a photograph, your photograph matters. You will get up to 36 times more messages if you have a profile photo. Folks, we're getting older. Tomorrow you're going to be a lot older than you are today. So let's take those photographs today. 60% of that photograph, I would say, make it your face. Not what you're wearing, standing behind the podium. I don't know. You know what? These are personal tips. Like I said, use what works for you. But here's my advice. Most people are going to look you up on LinkedIn using a mobile phone. And if they're using a mobile phone, the screen is small. So you want to maximize what they see. A cheerful, pleasant, smiling face. And in my case, I chose to use black and white. I want you to focus on the person. I want to be distinguishable. I want to be recognizable. You're building a personal brand. The second thing people will see is that headline. So mine says LinkedIn Talent Solutions. That's the business I work for. That's what I provide. But there are certain things I care about. I care about Africa first. Well, no, actually, correction, I care about my wife first. She might be watching this. I care about Africa first. And like I said, it's time to shine. My role in what I do is help people like yourself, professionals, build your profiles so that companies can find you, so that you can access that dream job, so that you can go and lead and flourish and tell the African story. So that's what people will see instinctively when they open up your profile. So is your photograph working for you? Is your background image working for you? And is your title or your headline working for you? LinkedIn allows you to customize that headline. It doesn't have to be your formal business title. It could be what you provide to the world or what is important to you. If you see my headline right now, anything to do with Africa, I'm a person to call. And I want to invoke your curiosity. I've curated my own personal hashtag, which is "It's time to shine." What do you mean, Stewart? We start a conversation right there. There are over 8 million people in South Africa with LinkedIn profiles. How are you standing out amongst the 8 million? It's your story, folks. It's a living document. So here's the thing, though. It's not a document, sorry, correction. It's a living environment. Here's the thing. I'm going to share lots, but my ultimate takeaway for you is that, look, you can customize section by section. Rome was not built overnight. You've got time right now. You're staying home. You're staying healthy. You're staying safe. Take section by section. I'll walk you through everything. It's going to be a recorded call, and then you can step back later and actually start looking at the specifics. I've already spoken about this. First piece of advice is understand yourself, understand what your personal brand characteristics are. And don't be afraid to go and get ideas from key leaders or influencers in your own company or that you compete with, or people globally that are doing the same role as yourself. You can go and borrow some words, but keep it authentic, folks. Let's not just do blatant cut and paste, because your LinkedIn profile is supposed to represent you authentically. When I meet you, you should wow me beyond what you put on your profile. Don't wow me on my LinkedIn, on your LinkedIn profile, and then when I meet you, it is a sad engagement. Right, so let's understand ourselves. What are our key traits, our skills, our values? As I said, for myself, it's everything to do with Africa, everything with making the working world a better place, so that's HR, and jobs. I'm helping professionals like you align to the jobs that companies are investing and are advertising on, so that you can come in and be the game changer for the organization. Marius, are we still connected?
We are still connected, hearing you, Stewart, and thank you for actually stopping on this, because we've had a question. Do they need a professional photo? I'm sure you're going to address it right now.
No, you don't need a professional photograph. You can use your phone if you got a decent smartphone. And like I said, make 60% of it your face, right? So you don't have to worry about dressing up. Maybe makeup if you want to, but hey, be your authentic self. I'm not asking guys to put on makeup. But here's the thing, right? Built into LinkedIn, it does have filters. We just don't put the filters with the little flowers over your head. But you know what? You can go in, zoom in, edit it just from the photograph you took off your phone. Any other questions? And have I answered that comprehensively?
You've got that down. We have another question, but we'll leave that for the end.
All right, super. So right, photographs, guys, put them on. You'll get more connection requests. You'll receive more email messages. And guess what? You'll get more profile views. But I also want to point out, as I was talking about photographs, you control everything on your LinkedIn experience. If you're finding that you're getting maybe unwanted attention, maybe you're in HR and maybe you're not comfortable right now because you're in recruitment with everybody seeing your face, you have a right to control the privacy, to control the privacy settings around your profile. So I only want my photograph to be seen by people who are connections to me. That's something you can enable. everything on your profile can be edited and can be controlled in terms of who sees your work experience, who sees your volunteer experience. You control that. So I hope that's clear for everyone. All right, let's move on. Like I said, your LinkedIn headline could be by default, if you don't type in a personal headline, it's going to pick up the job that you're currently doing, but you can use it to represent what your professional brand is and use it to differentiate yourself from other people. Some things that you could do in terms of building out your headline is maybe use keywords from your industry. You could maybe specify the role that you play and the impact that you bring, or highlight key skills and passions that you bring as an individual. Let's move on. The next important thing is clearly outlining which industry you're in. By outlining the industry you're in, let me tell you what, folks, every single week, people are doing searches of up to 300,000 times based on the industry. So if your industry sector is wrong, you're missing out on opportunities. You're missing out on profile views. You're missing out on people reaching out to connect with you. 9 times more profile views will happen if your industry is clearly outlined. Let's move on to a part that I think a lot of people struggle with. Based on the interactions I've had, a lot of people tend to struggle with the profile summary, the elevator pitch, the part where you get to tell your story. An elevator pitch, let's all make sure that we got the same understanding, is you meeting the CEO, you meeting the HR director, you meeting your client in an elevator, and literally having the time between the ground floor and the 6th floor to engage their attention. This also helped me highlight something about LinkedIn. LinkedIn is not your resume. It is not a cut and paste of your CV. That does not tell a personal story. I said authenticity is what is going to drive us. So here, like nowhere else in the world, you have an opportunity to highlight your story. I would advocate for you to use maybe 40 plus words, to write in a first person narrative, and to also use rich media. And I'll get into that just now. Tell your story. If you must, use bullet points. Restrict to using your bullet points to highlight your key skills, to highlight your accomplishments, or the results from the work you do. And here, be mindful. If you're in sales, boasting and bragging about smashing your number every single year might actually put off your customers who look up your profile when you're next going in to meet with them. So, talk about being an achiever, but be mindful that this is an open platform. Every time you request for a meeting, the first thing people do is look you up. So what story are you telling? How authentic are you? And how do we prevent ourselves from being tempted to brag? So, what are we expecting in your summary here? Tell the story of who you are, what you do, why your work matters, your contribution or impact. I'm going to say it again. Who you are, what you do, why your work matters, your contribution or impact. I'm going to stop right there. Marius, do we have questions?
Yes, Stewart, we have. Sorry, and it's pouring down by us as well. So we've got 2 questions. The first one is, do you need to write in the first or third person?
First person, it's your profile. Nobody knows your life story better than you. And it's not static. Your career journey, your aspirations, your learnings will change every day. So this is the one part where you get to tell the world, right now, this is the journey I'm on. I am working in this industry, but I have aspirations to work in that industry. I'm currently an individual contributor, but I am studying, I am learning, I am practicing, I'm volunteering to become a people leader. This is where you tell that. Your HR system
if you have a job right now, your HR system does not ask you this. You have discussions with your manager and they ask you, what would you like to become? You say it, they write it down, and that's where it ends, reality. But for once, on a global platform, you can tell the world what your aspirations are, what you're passionate about, what your purpose is, and what your skills are. Does that answer the question?
Yes, it does. Another question. So how does your summary look different for sales than for management? And I get that question a lot. So how do you change your profile if you're in sales, for example, if you are a leader and you want to position your profile to better serve the organization? How does that look different?
It's language. It boils down to language. Guys, now more than ever, and I'm going to talk about soft skills, now more than ever, you remember that comprehension class you used to do in English, or the English literature class you did, or whatever language you communicate with for business? Now more than ever, our ability to express ourselves, to paint a picture of either an individual contributor or a manager, comes out in the words that we put. That's why I said, Jeff Bezos said it. Your brand is what people say about you when you're not in the room. So here in our summary, does it say you're a leader? Does it say you're a risk taker? And by the way, folks, over here, I've seen a lot of people say, oh, collaborative, team player, and that sort of stuff. Listen, anybody does those things. Everybody works without supervision. Everybody is inspired. Everyone is passionate. But how do we show that passion or that inspiration? By highlighting it around the words of our industry, right? So I'm going to tell a story. I'm going to demonstrate my passion, but I'm also going to use key industry terms. So if I'm in leadership, it's management, team development, organizational structure, strategy. Am I using those words creatively to tell my story? But at the same time, because I work in manufacturing, am I using the words and the terminology related with manufacturing? Because guess what? Every single word you put on your profile is searchable. So if your profile summary is not talking with industry terminology or not talking using the words around leadership, then you will be missed. And here's the thing, right? If the profile summary, we don't want to make it a long essay. It's not your autobiography. This is the one part that hiring managers look at, the one part that recruiters look at. So make it short, make it punchy, and get straight to the point. I'm not a good example of that. Mine is quite long. But here's the thing. The rest of our story, if we have other things that are compelling that tell our story about leadership and etc., we can build those into our work experience portion. So here, we want to keep it short, we want to keep it punchy, and we want to highlight who we are, what we do, why our work matters, why you want to talk to me. Think of LinkedIn as a digital billboard, waving on the highway saying, hey, reach out to me for more info. When they reach out to you for more information, then you send the CV, then you send the detailed certificates and the rest of it. But right now, engage the human mind. Marius?
That's perfect. I'm going to save the other questions as we move on.
All right, let's move on. Sorry. You got me on a soapbox. So yeah, all right. So first person narrative, keep it short, keep it concise. And remember, you control anything that everybody sees. And here's the thing. If after this session, you start working on your LinkedIn profile, one of the things you want to do is at the bottom of every section you update, it'll ask you, do you want to notify your network? Switch it off. You're editing your profile right now. You don't need to tell the world that you're editing it. We'll switch that back on when you move on to a new role or when you're finished working on your profile. So we've covered out what your profile is all about. Let's move on to your work experience. Your work experience, there are three numbers that matter here. 8, 5, 10. I'm going to say it again. 8, 5, 10. Why 8 times? 8 is the time that you're going to get more views if you've got your work experience detailed out. 5, the number of times you'll get more connection requests if you have your detailed work experience played out. And 10, more times to get messages if your work experience is updated. And on work experience, think of it like an upside down triangle. The current job you're doing in, that's the one people are most likely to want to know more about. The jobs you did when you're starting your career journey, people don't need to know as much about those because they can tell from the titles what you were doing. When you're detailing out your work experience, you might want to start off by telling people who you're working for or what that company does. What does the company do? Not everyone knows the company that you've worked for, so give them 1 or 2 sentences saying, this company was involved in this industry. Number 2, my job in that company was this. I don't want you, wrong choice of words, I can't tell you what to do. I would encourage you not to cut and paste your job description. Nobody wants to read that. What was the impact you were bringing? What were you doing in the business and in that particular role? So you told us what the company does. Now you're telling us what your impact was so that we should care and want to meet up with you. So those numbers should motivate you in terms of thinking around why it matters to put it in. And again, work experience, we put it in the first person narrative, we keep it short, and we keep it as a story. Engage human beings. This is why we're not using bullet points and why we're not doing a cut and paste of job descriptions. We're talking to people. Your profile is talking when you're not there. So in this job, this was my impact. I reduced costs. I increased revenue. I automated. I drove efficiency. That's what you can do. And a little bit more than that is highlighting the results if you're allowed to. Because again, remember, some of the results that we have as businesses, we might not be given permission to share them. So make sure that the results you're sharing are in the public domain or are general enough, amortized, so that you don't get yourself into any trouble. The impact that you brought and the change that you brought by doing that job. And more than that, what LinkedIn allows you to do is to add visual content like videos, photographs, presentations, and websites that will clearly show your work. The internet, LinkedIn, has become your way to communicate with the world. So you now have the opportunity to go and find rich media that is in the public domain. So I'm not asking you to go and steal corporate images or anything. I'm saying if your company has got an annual report that you contributed to, or if your company, if it's public again, if your company has got a video on YouTube that talks about the things that you do in your job, then let's put it up there. So I've put on the screen right now, so hopefully so that you can relate, I've taken a screen grab of my own LinkedIn profile. It highlights the work that I do, my areas of speciality, and then at the same time, I've now then gone and put in videos that help tell my story. If you're watching and you're listening into the stream and you're an entrepreneur, this is one of the hardest things about LinkedIn. Why? Every time you meet people, it is not always going to be in an office. It is not always going to be in a formal setting where you can present your business, your value proposition. However, you will meet people at a sports club, in a social environment. They will ask you what you do. Now picture this. You ask them, do you have LinkedIn on your phone? Yes. Can I search for myself? Yes. Can I connect with you? Yes. And by the way, you ask me, what do I do? Here's a 2-minute video showing what I do. Here's a 3-page slide that shows my company's value proposition. Here's a picture of me delivering. Here's one of my happy customers. Here's what my company does in terms of value, culture. You can show that through the images that you have. And by the way, if there's ever a time you can't find one of these sections, I've highlighted on the screen, you see there's a drop-down that's written Add Profile Section. So if you don't have volunteer experience or you don't have any one of these areas, just go click where it says Add Profile Section and then you'll be able to add it. Are we clear on how we use rich media?
100%. Thank you so much.
Awesome. So for rich media, guys, we live in a digital world. Engage people. Engage them visually. Because here's what you can do. With rich media, it will allow you to now put in your company brand assets, and it will tell the why and how so much better than written words, right? That storytelling capability, you have just taken it to another level. Let's move on to your skills. So on your LinkedIn profile, you tell us the skills and the abilities and the strengths and the expertise that you have. And this helps establish credibility. How? Because when you put 5 or more skills, here's what's happening. If you got 5 or more skills, you are 27 times more likely to show up in a search. If you have 5 or more skills, you are 17 times more likely to get views on your profile. And when you've got those skills, here's what's also going to happen, is that only, and let me be clear, only your first degree connections can endorse you on those skills. And when they endorse you, it helps our algorithms understand the credibility that you say you have around certain skills and experiences. The more times people endorse you on a certain skill, it tells us that there are people confirming that you have that skill. And here's a pro tip. You can move those skills up and down. So just go click on the pencil, drag and drop. So if people are endorsing you for Microsoft Office, and that's not a bad skill, depending for all of us, but it's a general skill that everybody's expected to have, let them endorse you on the new age skills that you bring. I'm going to stop right there, Marius. Any questions?
Yeah, Stewart, let me just bring them up. So if you don't have, this is from Celestine, if you don't have any rich media, what can you possibly use? And I get this question a lot.
Everybody's got rich media. Everybody. We need to seek content. If I'm a student, I did a final year project. When I did that final year project, I can take photographs of it. In the day job that I do, I meet with customers. I can take photographs with my key customers or of the projects that we've done. My company has content. My industry has content. Look for stock-free images if you have to. But like I said, it's all about authenticity. It is better to create your own content, your own photographs, and point people to them. Search. Your company probably has a really good video on YouTube. Search for it. Your university might even have one. Search for it. Put that 2-minute video about your university. When people ask, why is there this video of your university on your profile? My answer is simple. I was a teaching assistant. Not only was I a student, I was a teaching assistant at the university. It tells a different story. So content is available. Rich media is available, and that's not an excuse.
Perfect.
I'm being a little bit hard. I'm sorry. I gotta go pull myself back there. So sorry. All right, so let's move on. So in terms of adding out your skills, you want to put out your hard and your soft skills that support or that tell your professional network what you bring in and what your strengths are. For the purposes of educating you, I've just put up what are the most in-demand soft skills in the year 2019, so they're still relevant, based on the jobs, based on interviewing, based on LinkedIn learning statistics. It is telling us a story around the skills that companies need. So don't underestimate your soft skills. Now more than ever, soft skills are important. Absolutely important, because technology is doing a lot of the jobs that we used to do, but we need people who can tell the story, people that can collaborate, people that can harness people to go along a common focus and a common goal and deliver results. So soft skills are absolutely important. Number 2, in terms of the most in-demand hard skills, this is what we're seeing. These are the skills that are in demand. Yes, they're technical, but it's not saying that for your industry, the skills that you have are not necessary. I put this up especially for the graduates and the young professionals and those who are looking to do career changes, just to highlight what are some of the most in-demand hard skills from 2019 globally. Any questions, Marius?
Yeah, so we've got a question here. People are asking, how do I find the skills for my industry?
The skills for your industry, I like that. Nice little lead on there. We weren't going to have a commercial break, but you've brought it on yourself. So, I do work for LinkedIn, gotta pay the rent. But I'm speaking from a personal capacity. I want to start off your journey in terms of learning. In terms of learning and starting that journey, LinkedIn is giving away up to 16 types of courses around remote work, around teaming, leadership, resilience, thriving, surviving, mindset, wellness. Right now, the skills people need to go through what we're going through right now. So those skills are available. I did a live stream. That's why I put up on this on the screen. I did a live stream a day ago, and I talked about these courses and how you can access them. So I'd encourage people after this call to jump on and have a look at those courses. Once you're in, you'll be able to navigate and highlight skills that you're interested in, and it'll start recommending them. But that is a paid subscription. The 16 I'm talking about are free. So jump on them, folks. Can I carry on, Marius? Hey, Marius, have I lost you? Marius, are we still connected, my friend?
Yeah, we're good and running.
All right, so how much time have I got? Because I want to speed it up and lay off with some key things that have helped my personal career.
We're a little bit over time already, but obviously we started late. So for everybody that can, keep listening, please do. For the people that can't, and you have to drop off right now, thank you for joining us. What we will do is we are recording this, and we will share the recording with the slides and the questions by tomorrow. So, Stewart, you can continue, and then for everybody who stays on, thank you. For the people who drop off, we'll give you the recording afterwards.
The guys who are dropping off, just one quick request. Each one teach one, all right? So I want to know how I did. So here's the thing. Take a photograph, something that will inspire you. Use the hashtag LinkedIn, rock your profile, hashtag also turn left, and share what you learned today. Share it so that your network also benefits from what you've learned, and so that we can continue this thing of sharing knowledge with one another. Marius, I'm ready to go.
Let's
go.
go.
I want to bring it home now. I can go ahead?
No, Stuart, I'm just saying you can continue, bud.
All right, so here's the thing. Volunteer experience, a lot of people ignore it. Put it into your profile, because here's the thing. If I'm a recruiter and I'm looking at 100 profiles of people that have equal skills and experience, how do I choose you over somebody else? Well, here's the thing. If I understand you holistically, what you stand for, what you espouse for, the things that you contribute to society without expecting return, those are the things that I can now start seeing if there's commonalities between you and the CSR programs that we run. You and the things that we're trying to do in our community. And I love the fact that I'm doing this with Turn Left. Turn Left, guys, hats off to you. You do a lot of projects, which is building out school laboratories. I'm sure there's so much more that you do. But here's the thing. You're helping with education in South Africa. And you're sharing it on LinkedIn. And guys, here's something else I want to show you. On the screen, you can see 2 posts of things that Turn Left has done to help society. But look at this. The interaction on the left, where they've posted as a company, to the 1,650 followers they have, only 11 people interacted with that content. On the other hand, where John has posted an initiative that they've done. Again, still from Turnless, still the same program. 82 people have interacted with it. So what does this tell us? It tells us that people will trust the content that you push out authentically. People don't want to be sold to. The voice that they're listening to right now is the voice that's coming from individuals, people like yourself, professionals like yourself. So if you are volunteering, guys, if you put that volunteer experience, you will get up to 6 times more profile views on your profile. So all you need to go in and do is put in the organization, put in 1 or 2 sentences of what you've done. And if you look, I've taken a screen grab of myself. I've got things that I've done for animal welfare and community, the things that I do for the student communities. And guess what? I love reading stories to kids. That's something else I'll put in there. So it's simple. Tell your story so that we understand you holistically as a person. Let's speed it up. Recommendations. They're super important. If you think back in your career, who said good things about you? When did you deliver on time? When were you the exceptional gem that turned around a project? Think back. When were you the star student? Think back. Reach out to that professor. Reach out to that lecturer. Reach out to that former boss and say, you know what? I am trying to position myself for a new job. Or I'm trying to position my subject matter expertise around this area. You remember we worked on this project? Yes. Please, can you write me a recommendation? Talk to a human being first. Pick up the phone, call them up if you must. Or let the organic ones come in. And I've just received an amazing, glowing recommendation. I don't know if you can see it, Marius. You're going to have to try and top this up. Huh? So the head of talent acquisition at FNB has written such a beautiful profile recommendation. That was this morning. Look at the date. 26th. Right? Now with recommendation, here's a pro tip. As much as you seek recommendations, be clear and transparent with the people you ask. I typically would say, look, I'm going to ask you for a recommendation, but I'm not going to give you one. Why? Authenticity. I can't be looking like I'm trading recommendations. And here's the beauty. If when someone sends you a recommendation, they've misquoted you, they've misspelled your name, they've lost the track of what they were putting the recommendation around, you can ask them for a revision. So before it even goes to your profile, you can have it revised and have it correct. What it will do for the recruiters, what it will do for the hiring managers is that it will establish your credibility. Who's recommending them? What relationship did they have in order for them to be recommended? And what has that person moved on to? Oh, wow. That was Stewart's boss? Now he directs a whole global organization. So the credibility around the words must mean this person absolutely endorses this person for their skill. You've seen it when you're applying for jobs. They always ask you for referees. So make it easy for them. Get recommendations from your suppliers. Get recommendations from your partners, your teachers. Get meaningful recommendations. And remember, LinkedIn is not a popularity contest, right? We want to have meaningful recommendations from people that we've actually impacted in our life. And as much as we receive, let's also give recommendations. That tells us a lot about you. If you have 50 recommendations, or which is quite a lot, if you have 50 or 30, 20, whatever, 10 recommendations and you've never given me one, what does it say about you when you're not in the room? Remember, we live in a perceptional world. We're human, after all. So, on recommendations, here's my pro tips. If you're not getting them organically, stop, think back, who can I get recommendations from? This will help build my credibility. So, if I look back at some of the senior leaders and executives I worked with, where I delivered, can I reach out to them? And let me be smart. Let me make it easy for them. I can reach out and say, I'm reaching out to you for a recommendation around the project that we did and delivered. My key role was project manager, and we saved the company X. I've written out a draft. If you're comfortable, please use it. If not, please build from it. The key skills that I'd like you to highlight are cost savings, project management, and my ability to lead a team. That is so much better than you just going and clicking a button and saying, please send me a recommendation. On what? On what? Marius, did we get recommendations, or have I beat the drum too much?
You have beaten the drum well. We've got two more questions. The first one is if we've been unemployed for a while, how do you take that into account? How do you showcase that in a good light?
Excellent. If you've been unemployed, go and volunteer. That will help you fill up those gaps in your career. If you've been unemployed, go and volunteer your services and skills. If you're not out there, people will not know that you have those services and skills to offer. So volunteer for your local Rotary, your Lions Club. Volunteer your services for Incubator Hub. Walk in and say, I'm unemployed, but I'm super good at documentation. Who can I help in this room? It will give you credibility. It will give you a purpose. It will give you that experience that you can now highlight. And by the way, if you're unemployed and you can't volunteer, start a business. People are looking for people with entrepreneurial skills. So start selling clothes, start selling vegetables. How you present that on LinkedIn is the fact that, listen, I'm in the vegetable industry. This is what I do. People want to understand what you did during those gaps. It matters. They want self-starters. So please volunteer and please become entrepreneurs.
Great. And then the second question, just the clarity on the data about endorsements. Does it mean the endorsement log can pick up endorsements across first degrees?
Only first degree connections can endorse you. That's correct.
Aha, that's good to know. So you can't just ask everybody to
No.
endorse Stewart for his presentation skills.
Again, we're seeking credibility. These are people that are saying they know you. And here's the thing with LinkedIn. It is not a popularity contest. This is why we've been mindful that when you look up someone's profile, it shows you that this person has plus 500 connections. It does not say Stewart has 24,491 connections. Why? Because the human mind will then say, let me compete. So the connections you have are supposed to be people you know, people that authentically can vouch for your skills, and that way recruiters will be able to use this data to understand the level of proficiency that you have on certain areas.
Okay, so next question. How much time should you spend updating your LinkedIn profile, and how often?
Break it up, break it into little pieces and focus on it. I just want to close off, Marius, by going into updates. So as much as we build our profiles, you know, putting in our location, our education, the skills we have, etc., it's absolutely important that we become social leaders. And that's where the magic is. What I was covering just now was everything to do with your basic profile. You should know that, you should understand it, you can read, folks, you can do it. But what is critical is becoming a social leader. That's what helps you get access to opportunities, and that's what I want to close off with. Can I go ahead?
Go right ahead.
All right, so there's two ways that you become a social leader. So good that you become hard to ignore. I am on to my third job, not because I applied, but because the hiring managers heard of me, found me. Other people referred me because of the work that I was doing on LinkedIn. So what is the work that you can do on LinkedIn as an individual? Every day you have an opportunity to be a teacher or a student. I'll say it again. Every day you have an opportunity to be a student or a teacher. And on LinkedIn, you share what you learn. You share what is happening through updates. You share links to articles you've read, but adding your point of view. Don't just share an article. Put your point of view and add context for your industry and professionals that are in your area. Here's an article I read on Wall Street Journal, but this is what it means to Kenya, South Africa, Uganda, Tanzania, wherever you are. You have the opportunity to add images. We need to arrest attention. The one way you're going to get people to read your content is add images to it. Meaningful images. Grab their attention. We can add quotes. We can quote certain people. Anything that's going to interest your followers. So you do that through updates, and the second way is through publishing. And I want to show you how you start this. It starts, of course, on your LinkedIn homepage where you click to say, I want to share an update. An update is what's happening right now. I told you at the end of this session, I want you all to take a photo of yourself. Take a photo of something that inspires you and post and tell the world what you learned in this session. So here's an example. I met up with a former colleague who is now the country manager for Microsoft in Kenya. And I was giving her a book. As I say right there, what do you give a friend who has almost everything? A leadership book. And I highly recommend that you share the books that you're reading on LinkedIn. It helps you with credibility. It helps show your audience what your thinking is. 25,585 people interacted with a post. Where was I ever going to meet 25,000 people? 444 of them reacted to the post. And this is why I say LinkedIn is not a popularity contest. 25,000 people read it. That's the number that matters. The fact that 400 went and said they like or what, they went and put applause and things like that, that's another story. 25,585 people, or 86. And where do they work? What do they do? Where do they live? This helps me understand where my voice is being heard. So guys, go in and look at the analytics. I went and clicked on that number written 25,000. Now I understand who my primary audience is. So if I'm seeking opportunities in a particular industry, in a particular geography, this is how I find out. When I took on this job at LinkedIn, one of the things that made me stand out is the very fact that when I post, I'm reaching audiences outside of Africa, outside of my time zone. And how am I doing that? I am posting content outside of working hours. So when you're posting content, think to yourself, what is my audience doing right now? Are they driving to work? Are they reading? Are they watching the news? Have their kids gone to bed? Share content. It's a 24-hour economy. It's a global economy. You want to win, you want to succeed, operate as one. You are a business. Mario.
Yes, Stewart. We're all business.
You're getting me started, buddy. You're getting me started. I want to finish up. So here it is, right? So what are the best practices, guys? Use your authentic voice. How often should you post? Like I said, think to yourself, what is my audience doing right now? So if predominantly my audience is HR, the HR community, if by interaction I know that 30% of it are ladies, so what does that mean? It means the night when there's Champions League football on TV, without the virus, I can post something and I'll be almost assured that because most women don't watch football, I can be assured that they're going to be browsing on their phone. So think like that when it comes to how often do you post. Start a conversation, share your point of view, but ask people to interact. You want to build out engagement and give people an opportunity to interact with your content. The second way that you grow your social leadership skills is by writing articles. I've done a screenshot there of 2 articles I wrote. I work in my daytime job with recruitment agencies who need to make the decision around should I buy or invest in LinkedIn solutions. At the same time, I interact with professionals like yourself who are constantly asking me, Stewart, how do I edit my profile and make sure that my boss doesn't think I'm job hunting? Which, by the way, is not a crime. All of us, at some point, went looking for a job. So those are articles I've written. And why have I written them as articles? Because I run into people that ask me the same questions over and over. And as I said, if you are an entrepreneur and you have your value proposition, write it as an article. Because when someone says, what do? You can show them the video, you can show them the PowerPoint, you can show them this article. If you're applying for a job and you've written an article about the area or the job or the things that you do, and you're in that interview and they ask you, why should we consider you? You say, you know what? I publish articles on this particular topic. If you all have LinkedIn, let's open up our phones. That's what I wrote. That's what the world said. And this is my credibility. I'll stop right there, Marius. How's that?
That is fantastic. So,
all right. So
if you
just to
haven't
wrap
written an article yet, it's absolutely time to do so. So what you're saying is people should just think about the recurring questions that they hear every day that people ask them, and those are the things that they need to start building from.
share knowledge, guys. Every one of us has a talent. Share the knowledge. Ask for people's point of view. And here's the thing, Marius, if you dig into the data, when you post, like I said, if it's an article, it stays with your profile. Updates will disappear. It stays with your profile. And if it stays with my profile, it means it must be my finest work. Be mindful of your audience. Keep it short, but you can mine it for data. Like you can see here, an article that was posted reached, had 1,100 people, but it had 112 reshares onto Facebook, onto Google, places where you weren't. And what's more, at the bottom there, it shows you that people outside of your current network are the ones interacting with it. So what does that mean? It means you can expand your network right now. You have that opportunity. So write those articles, guys, because it will help you stand out as an individual. And it will help you come across as a subject matter expert. I've just put up 2 screens there. Look at that. One article, which I had read and had seen courses for recruiters. I shared it with my network. 10,000 people interacted. I did an interview using video. 6,000 people interacted with that as I met up with Ray Govender. So you can use video. We don't have time to go into it right now, but we can do that. The other thing is, those are 2 articles I've just put up on the screen for you. And here's the thing. Use attention-grabbing photographs. There are courses on LinkedIn on photography here. Choose what works for your personality, your career, and your profession. But I find that if I use a resting photograph, it helps draw attention. And guess what? Why does this all matter? This social media, why does it matter? It matters because here's the thing. If your company has a presence on LinkedIn, like right now I've just opened up LinkedIn, one of the things that has been built in is the fact that if you work for a company and they have a presence on LinkedIn and they've chosen certain hashtags to be highlighted on the corporate page, your content features if it's trending. I'm not bragging here, Marius. I opened up the LinkedIn one and I was just blown away. Look at that. The first 6 pieces of content, and I'll tell you what, it even goes up to the first 9 pieces of content for LinkedIn, which has 11 million followers, which has 20,000 employees on LinkedIn. The first 9 pieces of content are from me.
Stewart, that's why we have you on this on the session today, because clearly you're the man who knows what to do.
I hate to brag, buddy, but here's the thing, guys. I want to end off with, listen, like I said, it's an environment which you can go and edit. It's an environment where you can mine the data. I've just put on the screen there certain pieces of data that you'll get. Who's searching for you? What do they do? How many people have looked you up? How many people are interacting with your posts? How frequent are they interacting so that you can step back and say, what happened mid-February? Why did I have a spike? What was it that I posted? How many people are following me and what companies do they work for? And even on jobs, you can then go in and set up your personal settings around, the job alerts you want to receive. And of course, the fact that you want to open yourself up for opportunities. Guys, if there's anything I've got to say, because we're at the end now, if there's anything I'd encourage you to do is first go into your settings. Understand what can be modified. Understand what will give you a better experience. If we're following people that don't add value, we can stop following them. They won't know. We need to be following companies. We need to be following thought leaders. We need to be following people in our own industry. That way, we're that much closer to the opportunities that are associated with the jobs and the things that we want to do. That's it, Marius.
Stewart, cool. We've got 2 more questions for you. sorry, we've got one. So if you have to summarize what you've spoken about today, what are the 3 tips you would give that would make the biggest impact on your profile right now? 3 quick ones.
3 quick ones, right? First of all, fix that photograph. Get that great photograph that represents you and the background picture. Make sure that your headline speaks volumes of your profession and the impact that you bring. Don't go for the standard one. And then number 3, let's start telling our story. Let's start sharing content. As we build our profiles, let's already start showing the things we're passionate about. So if you're sending out content on your industry, if you're sending out content of what you've learned, if you're liking other people's content, it's going to help people understand what you're passionate about. Those are my 3.
Amazing. Listen, we've got a couple of more than a couple of Kenyans on the line. They wanted you to know that, so you've been preaching to your home crowd,
Buddy.
and they've been loving it. Stewart, thank you so much for doing the session with us. For everybody that has stayed online, who's still here, thank you very much. We hope the session has been incredibly useful. We will be sharing the recording, minus a few edits for audio failures and such. We'll be sharing the recording and the presentation notes and slides tomorrow. So thank you so much for joining, everybody. And then please remember, take a photo, post with a hashtag LinkedIn, hashtag rock your profile, hashtag turn left media, and share what has been your top tip on the session today. Thank you, everybody. Have a great day further. And for the guys in South Africa, as we start our 21-day lockdown, you have more than enough time on your hands right now to make sure your profile is the best thing since sliced bread. Have a great afternoon. Thank you.
Thank you, Marius. Thank you, everybody, for joining. I'll see you online, folks. Cheers.